feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Great to be back on this very eventful Wednesday night for you guys. It is Thursday afternoon down here in Melbourne, a Melbourne day that's not raining for once. It was a weird week. We had like rain and overcast for almost every day. It was very, very gloomy weather for November. Very gloomy. Um, we have a bit of an update in something that happened during the trial, and I thought you would all be very interested in hearing about it because it happened and we sort of talked about it, and I can give you some context surrounding it. So, hey, good to see you guys. Good to see you. Hey, Lindy, how are you? Chipmunk Kelly, good to see you. Rachel, Betsy's here. Sean, Kathy. I'm sure more people will file in as we sort of get into this. Blaze, hey Blaze, how are you? So during the trial, one of the big themes of the trial, especially with Justice Beale, was that we not subdivert the jury, that there was no subjudice or subjudice or whatever Trish likes to say it, or however it's pronounced, contempt of court. And it was a big theme throughout this trial. Justice Beale made it really, really clear he did not want people, doing that, and he would come down hard on anyone who uh, who did this in his court. Well, there were three examples, and there were more during the trial, but there were three main ones that were sent or referred for possible charges. Now, the first one was it was Psychology of a Serial Killer, and it was a show that came to Melbourne, and it so happened to be on at the same time as the trial. I don't think it was deliberate. I think it just happened that way. During that show in Melbourne, during the trial, the the host made a comment that she thought that Erin Patterson was guilty. This made a huge kerfuffle at the trial. I think we came in on the Monday morning, and there was a bit of a rigmarole over it, and that they were like, "Well, what could the possibilities be? Could someone have seen it? Could a jury member have seen it?" And they were not very happy with what had happened at this show. That this person, the host of the show, had been commenting on the trial, and it was referred for charges. There was another example, a podcast called the Mamma Mia podcast. In that podcast, they did like about an hour, was like an hour or something, 45 minutes. And it was a whole block of them basically speaking opinion, talking about whatever they wanted, saying all these different things about Erin. And the media team at the Supreme Court emailed them, told them to take it down. They did. Then it was referred. There's another thing during court where the judge brought it up. He was very unhappy. And then he referred that one for charges too. And it was, yeah, so there was a Mamma Mia Out Loud podcast episode. And yeah, so that was the second example. The third example may be the biggest, and it was a radio show in Australia called The Kyle and Jackie O Show. And it's quite a large show. It is syndicated, I think, I think it's Sydney and Melbourne. I think they are going to Brisbane and maybe other places too. But these are like well-known figures. They have been on TV, radio over the last 20 years. They've done just about everything. They are really well known. They commented on the case during the trial too, and that's where that comment about how I think it was that one. It might have been the podcast, but the judge said, they people should engage their brains before they open their mouths, and very upset over it. Said it was, pretty bad what they had been talking about on the radio, and so on. Well, so we had three different examples, and like I said, there were more. They were not the only ones during the trial. There were several others that could have been forwarded for charges, but they were not. Well, a decision came down yesterday. I got a message from someone yesterday saying that the OPP would release a statement on Wednesday afternoon talking about if they're going to proceed with charges or not. No charges will be filed against any of them. None of them. So all three of them will not go to court or go to trial over the things they said during the trial. And in a statement on Wednesday afternoon, a spokeswoman for the Office of Public Prosecutions, or the OPP, said it considered that there were no reasonable prospects of conviction. No reasonable prospects of conviction. And they said that was for Kyle and Jackie O. The other two examples, the Mamma Mia Out Loud podcast and then the Psychology of Serial Killers, they did not meet the threshold for prosecution. So the three most, I would say, they were probably the most serious ones that happened at the trial. There were others. The relevant circumstances of each incident have been carefully considered and assessed against the principles of sub judice contempt. It has been determined that in all the circumstances, none of the incidents had a clear tendency, as a matter of practical reality, to prejudice the fair trial of Miss Patterson on the charges against her. It is considered that the required elements of contempt could not be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, and there is no reasonable prospect of conviction for the referred incidents. So basically, they're saying it did not meet the threshold to warrant charges or spending public money to take them through court, and that it did not meet the legal definition or threshold to actually proceed with any charges against anyone. And it's somewhat frustrating in several ways, because we were hammered so much during the trial and told not to do these things. We were told daily, we had reminders daily, several times a day sometimes, about certain things, and don't do this, don't do that. Make sure when you're doing your content today, you know, adhere to this and don't talk about this. And it sort of feels like the people who played by the rules were in some ways, like, we could have said those things. It would have done great for our ratings. It would have done great for our subscribers. Like, they would have loved it if I said things like, that bitch is guilty. I saw her on the stand today. I know it's going to be a guilty verdict. Like, my ratings in that would have gone through the absolute roof. But we adhered to the law and we did the right thing. I don't know. It just feels like, is there any consequences for people who don't adhere to it? What will happen in the future if we go to a different trial and it's maybe as large or not as large as the Erin Patterson trial? And there are other people that do the same thing. Is there now a sort of, is there something set where they can point to this and go, wow, look what they did. That was national radio, broadcast to millions of people. They said whatever they wanted to say, and they didn't get charged. So I wonder if this has set some sort of precedent, at least in the state of Victoria. Like, is anything going to happen to anyone at the next trial? Should they go against the law and just say whatever they want? So it is a little frustrating. Um, Marylander said could have gone bad for them. Doesn't seem so. Seems like they're pretty I don't know how far away they were from charges being laid. It doesn't say. It just says it is considered that the required elements of contempt could not be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, and that there are no reasonable prospects of conviction for the referred incidents. So there you go. And they said so when you look at these examples and what they said, they were almost word for word the things we were told not to say. Not don't have an opinion. Don't comment on guilt or innocence. Don't don't comment on what she looks like. That was one of the things that Kyle and Jackie O spoke about was what she looked like. I don't know. It's a little frustrating. Um, Especially when, like, there was a lot of journalists and not just me, there was a lot of other ones who played by the rules, um, tried to do the right thing, and the people who didn't and just did whatever they want are just like, "Yeah, that's fine. We're not gonna do anything about it." Justice Beale wanted something done about it, but, the OPP are just like, "Nah, we don't have time for that." It's, interesting is the word I'm gonna use. Frustrating is the other word. Not that I wanna see anyone charged, it's like, what's the point of having the laws then? Or what's the point of trying to, manhandle the media during these trials if you're just not gonna do anything about it when people do cross that line? Or if that is not the line, as we see, apparently it's not the line, where is the line? Under what circumstances is there a line? And could that be made more clear? Because apparently this is fine. You can say these type of things, even though we were told you can't say those type of things. Well, apparently you can because they don't meet the requirements for charges. So I don't know. I think there's got to be maybe more looked at here, and I don't know. Maybe a review will be done in the legal realm on this at some point, where they will look at these three different individual cases applied against the trial, and maybe there'll be some sort of legal academic thing done about it. Rachel said, "If that's the case, then change the laws." Yeah, I sort of agree. They work so hard to sort of put a lid on certain things, and then when the lid came off and then people just, you know like, one of the things we were told at the trial was, like, ignorance is not an excuse or not a defense if you break this contempt of court. Well, that they're basically claiming that. They basically just like, "Oh, well, we didn't know, we just say whatever we want on the radio or the podcast or at the show in Melbourne." So, yeah, very interesting. Laura said Laura said, "So unfair. Ping even deleted a show and had several he painstakingly went back through to make sure we didn't say anything wrong. Yeah, spent many a nights trawling through my own content to make sure it adhered to the legislation and stuff like that. I mean, that's for my benefit, I guess, so to make sure that I fell within the law. I mean, that just means that I won't face any legal trouble, which is good. But I don't know, it's a strange thing. It's almost like they're like, "Oh, well, she's been sentenced. This has already been, done and dusted. Her trial was over like 5 months ago. Who cares? Like, everyone's sort of done with this now." It's sort of the way it feels. It's sort of like they're like, everyone's moved off Erin right now. She's been, she's got an appeal now. Let's just focus on that. The DPP have an appeal too. So, or the OPP, whatever way you want to say it. Um, yeah. So there's your update on that. I was shocked when I heard this yesterday afternoon. I really thought they were gonna at least put a stronger sort of messaging out, or some, even if they weren't going to proceed with the charges, I thought they would put out like some sort of stronger message or something that, while in this particular case it's not warranted to continue with charges, you know, don't think that in every case that is, what would happen. Something like that. I don't know. But there you go. All three, Kyle and Jackie O, Mamma Mia, Out Loud podcast, and a traveling show. I don't know how you would charge them. They're not even Australian, so I don't know how you would charge them. I'm pretty sure the lady for that show, Psychology of a Serial Killer, has gone back to America 5 months ago. So I don't know how you would actually do one for her, but uh, yeah. So Kyle Sanderlands, that's his name. This is him here. This is Kyle Jackie O. In the in the comments he made on air, he said things including, "Just lock that bitch up." That's what he said. I can get some more quotes for you. Hold on, about what he said during that thing. Here. In audio, Sanderland started speaking about the trial after a newsreader provided an update on the case. He said, "Did she do it or what?" and then called her a big lump and a miserable looking thing. Co host Jackie Henderson chimed in and said, "Yeah, like what does the evidence point to? Okay, my question is, how strong is her case?" Kyle Sanderlands replied, "Not strong, not strong for her." And then they said here, um, the newsreader on that particular show tried to wrangle both of them into being more conforming to the law and said, "We have to wait for the jury to make a decision." And then Kyle said, "But the rest of us already know, yeah." And they said, "Yeah, you F. Come on, bro. You can tell just by looking at her. Just lock that bitch up." And then other swear words after that. And then he said, "It takes too long. These courts should be in and out, decide and move on." Jackie said, "Wait until it's your turn one day when you're accused, right?" And he says, "What am I going to get accused of?" So, and then they said here, hours later, Justice Christopher Beale raised the matter with the prosecution and the defense teams in a Morwell courtroom in the absence of the jury. And this is where that quote that we've talked about before: "I encourage all commentators to engage their brains before they open their mouths, as they may otherwise land themselves and their organizations in hot water." He says, "I will be referring this morning's matter to the Office of Public Prosecutions for contempt proceedings." He continued and said, "Our media unit will continue to closely monitor all media in relation to the commentary on this case, whether the commentary may be shock jocks, so-called influencers, social media commentators, or legacy media." And yeah, there you go. There you go. That is what we have to say. Apparently, in the Mamma Mia podcast, they were talking about how Erin took the stand or gave evidence in her own trial. And they said things like, legal experts would say that she would probably be advised not to give evidence. It is rare for a defendant to take the stand. And when you put yourself on the stand like that, a poor performance or, appearing nervous or whatever it is, it can really harm the case. And the thing is, you can get cross examined, and that puts you in a very, very vulnerable position. And then they discuss things about how alleged female perpetrators and poisoning is a woman's method of murder. And they're saying here that Aaron Patterson's case was almost Shakespearean. And they say here, "I think as well that in cases of women who have allegedly committed murder, it's often not premeditated. So it's the premeditate pre okay, I don't know what they're talking about. It's often not premeditated." Okay, and they say it's the planning that's being alleged that a lot of people are looking at, and they're going, "Oh, this is so unusual." They're talking about in Erin's case that premeditation is unusual in women's murder. I don't know if that's true. They're saying, "I think the reason that it's traditionally a woman's method in inverted woman's method in popular culture, literature, and everything is because women make the food and serve the food right. So these are things they said in the podcast. Later that day, Justice Beale told the parties he would consider proceedings against Mamma Mia for contempt at a more convenient time. And they said, Justice Beale said, the discussion was full of highly prejudicial expressions of opinion. I won't repeat them here. After being directed to remove the podcast, it was taken down. Justice Beale said, I remind media and podcasters that ignorance of the law is no excuse, and I remind them that the court's media team will continue to monitor coverage of this trial to safeguard the trial's integrity. So there you go. Um, there's some of the examples of what people said, and what they're saying now is not enough to proceed with any charges against anyone. So, yeah. Kim says poison seems premeditated. Definitely. Uh, Kim says it's a sexist comment, which is funny because Mamma Mia is like it's a media organization that's targeted towards females. It's sort of female centric. They sort of most of their media and articles that they publish are directed towards women. I would say between like 25 and 45. I'd say it's between that gap. They're the sort of women they're targeting. Uh, yeah, they're sort of targeting women in that range. So for them to have a sexist comment is strange. But there you go. There is the update. So we won't hear anything more about that now. That's done and dusted. Those three people given a very early Christmas present from the OPP. Jonas said the law sounds like it's not written in strong enough language, or the money isn't there to go ahead with a prosecution unless the prosecution goes after them. I don't know. I don't work in the OPP. Rachel said, so all that really happened was they were told to take the podcast down. They were told to take the podcast down. I think Kyle and Jackie O were told to remove any online version of their radio show. The Psychology of a Serial Killer, well, their show was done. They had finished their tour and they left, so they didn't have to do anything. Let's see. All right. So that's your update on that. I don't have anything more about it. I'll just say that while I wouldn't change the way I did the trial, and if I when we go to other trials like next year, we're heading to Samantha Murphy's killers, well, alleged killers trial. Patrick Oren Stevenson will be heading to that one. That's bound to be a massive one as well. Also, we'll be going to the Isla Bell one as well whenever that makes it through pre-trial and um, gets a trial date, probably late next year or something like that. So we'll have two on the horizon that we'll do on this channel. I still wouldn't change the way I did it. I don't want to be in the media and being told I might be charged with something. So I probably wouldn't change the way I did it, but you can understand the frustration. Marlene says they will not be allowed back, and maybe this is their one warning. Well, I don't think the trial. I don't think the psychology of a serial killer. It won't matter. They're not going to be barred from entering Australia or anything. The other people, Kyle and Jackie O, I don't think they had anyone directly at the trial, so I don't think that'll matter in the future. And Mamma Mia, I mean, maybe they have their credentials revoked or something, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Um, so the repercussions, I don't know. I don't think there are any. So there you go. There's your update for that one. As we start, we're starting to see sort of some of the aftermath of things that happened at the trial. Oh, well, it's just sort of how it is. Like I said, I don't want anyone charged with a crime, and I don't want them to have to go through a court session or whatever that, you don't want to have to wish that on anyone. It just sort of doesn't make sense. like, where is the line? That's sort of what I want to know. If this is not the line, where is the line? And if these kind of comments don't meet the threshold, then what would meet the threshold? I think that would be some sort of interesting legal academic paper to read about. Like, where is that line that you can't cross? Is it directly? I don't know. These all seem to have broken the things that we were told not to do. So I don't know where you could go with it. I mean, saying that Erin Patterson is a bitch and they should just lock her up and that she's already guilty before a verdict has made a decision, they all seem like things that should have been enough. Marlene said, "I'm glad you played by the rules." I don't think I had a choice. I don't think well, I mean, I did, but I wanted to keep covering it, and I think if I broke the rules, they would have been very mad with me if I turned up the next day. I would have been shunned. I would have been no. I don't know what would have happened, but I don't want to know. Montana says all that tough talk about the rules, then they just let it slide. Right. I think that's what I was trying to get at earlier. There was just so much of this talk throughout the trial from various different places. I don't want to name them, but there was several different facets of the trial that were telling us, like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do this, you got to look at this. Hey, we're going to make a big example out of these people. Oh, look what they've done, bad people. And we get like 5 months later, and it's just like, nah, they're not that bad. It's fine. It's all right. Let them go back to their radio shows and stuff like that. So there is your update on that. I don't have anything else to add. Just thought you would find it interesting considering what we went through on this channel during that trial. Chipmunk says you would have got ponged. Maybe I would have got ponged, not pinged. I would have got ponged. That is probably true. All right. Shall we move off this topic now? All right. What else have we got on our list? I think Trish probably would have already talked to you guys about it, but Melody's sorry. Ashley Buzzard was in court today, and I was speaking to someone behind the scenes, and I was looking for some of the court footage and some of the photos taken in court. And I was talking to this person. I was like, wait, who's Ashley? Is that her? And they're like, yeah, that's her. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, that's not the same woman, is it? The same woman we see on the CCTV? And they're like, yeah, it's the same woman. Here's Ashley Buzzard right here in court today. She's been let out. So they put her on a GPS monitoring program and let her out until she faces more court for these charges. She has pled not guilty, but that's her. That's Ashley Buzzard. I was stunned. I was like, really? That's the same woman? But apparently it is. The judge granted the defense counsel's request to release her from jail, and they're saying she is on GPS supervision. She's due back in a Santa Maria courtroom on Thursday for a pretrial conference in relation to these false imprisonment charges. So she is going to be back this week. And they're saying, meanwhile, her daughter is still missing and hasn't been seen since October. So I'm going to take you out to this courtroom footage. I'm going to show you a little bit of it. If it'll play. Yeah, let's turn this off.
And Ms. Lockie on behalf of the people. Mr. Delvan.
Your Honor, Ms. Buzzard waives formal reading and advisement of the complaint. We're entering a not guilty plea with no time waiver. We're requesting an assignment as quickly as possible.
Okay, we'll have your assignment in one moment. Not guilty plea is entered. Special allegations are deemed denied. The court has relation of the parties. Mr. Yavan, would you like to be heard as to your defendant's status?
Yes, Your Honor. Judge, I've read the pretrial service report. I have also read the discovery that's been provided in this case. We're requesting that Ashley be released, either OR or supervisor. She is not a flight risk. And the allegation in this case is non-serious, non-violence.
You know, the problem when you get these charges that are not related to the other things going on, you could make a argument here that she is a flight risk. She took a car across several states only a month ago. And I mean, if she was willing to do it then with no motivation that we know of, what could be her motivation if she had a court case and a missing daughter and a separate investigation going on? You could make a good argument that she is a flight risk. So it's very interesting that she was let out of jail today. And given that GPS monitoring, at least they'll know where she is. But there was another photo from her in court today. I'll play a little bit more in a second. I just want to show you this other photo. We haven't seen too many like up close, high def photos of her. Here's a different photo of her, and I'm guessing she's wearing that wig. She looks so different between the two. I mean, if you asked me to pick these two people out of a lineup, I don't think I could. I really think I would be like, yeah, they're not the same person. And it shows you how tricky eyewitness accounts can be because we've been following this case for weeks, and uh, unless she looked like this, I wouldn't have picked her up as being Ashley Buzzard. So yeah, it's really, really, really interesting. I don't know if it's the light in the room that causes it to look worse than it is, but there you go. The two different sides of Ashley Buzzard. Very, very interesting to me how people can look so different just with a bit of different hair. All right, let's play a bit more of this.
And you can fashion terms and conditions of release that can serve public safety concerns and return Ashley to court at any time that your honor orders.
Ms. Buzzard has been notably uncooperative with law enforcement and child welfare services.
Following first, ma'am. Good morning. Ma'am, you are ordered to have no contact with Tyler S. Brewer. I'm not sure I've ever seen a 236 with a 0 with a probation override, and I'm not sure where that comes from.
I'm sorry, may I be heard as to the co-authors?
Sure.
I'm also requesting that she be subject to search and seizure. This case did involve the use of a box cutter.
Let's see. Report Longboat?
Please.
Yes, report Longboat.
There you go. A little bit out of the court today. A little bit of footage of her. She's, like I said, she's pled not guilty to a felony charge of false imprisonment. And they're saying, again, the judge granted that defense counsel's request to release her on GPS supervision. We'll see how that goes. She's due back in the courtroom on Thursday for a pretrial conference. I sort of, in one way, wish they'd kept her behind bars because I think that was the best place for her, for her own sort of well-being and for trying to figure out where Melody is. I think that would have been better than letting her into the public with a GPS ankle monitor. So, well, that's the judge's right. That's his right to make those decisions. So we'll have to wait and see. Um, Sounds like she's already made it back to her property. She can't make any contact with the accuser, that is Tyler Brewer. And let's see what else she can't do. So apparently she has a history of being in a mental health facility in Camarillo twice, and they're saying that letting her go today without somehow getting more information about where Melody is a real shame. And I agree. I know they're different cases, but we're looking for a missing kid here. Everything else, in my opinion, doesn't matter. We got to find the child. And it almost feels like an opportunity wasted, maybe. Khalida said she looks nothing like she did before. I think the wig was a better look, actually. Khalida said, wait, is that a real hair? I would say so. I don't know. I don't understand. Ping's never worn a wig before, so I don't know. I would figure that's her real hair. Hold on, where's that other photo? There's the other photo. Maybe that the one she's wearing in the jail is also a wig? Because how can you hide that much hair under this wig? How is that possible that you can hide that amount of hair? I would figure you probably couldn't, like it would push your wig up. So is the one in court also a wig? Would they allow you to have that in jail? I don't know. Yeah, the Northern Lights, yeah. SP1 said, you're not asleep yet? Okay. Rachel said, I don't think they would allow a wig in jail. I don't know. Kaliza said, I'm wondering if she shaved her head bald. But she's been wearing this wig on and off for ages. She's been wearing it in the CCTV we saw at the rental car company. So she can't shave her head, grow her hair back at that length, then wear the wig again. I mean, I wouldn't have thought so anyway. I don't know. I really don't know. It's very interesting. Maybe we'll find out. I suspect. I mean, the back part of her hair looks very thinning. It doesn't look like the front part, so maybe that is her real hair. Maybe she uses the wig to supplement the hair she already has. I don't know. Don't ask Ping. I've got no idea. A perm on real hair, a bad perm. Yeah, the long hair is a wig. Yeah, at least I think so. That's what we've been told, right? That the long hair is a wig. There you go, the long hair. This it says here, Ashley Buzzard outside of court on Wednesday. So today. So this is her after she left the courtroom. After she looked like the other person in court. I don't know. You go. It's however she's doing it. It's very odd. Rachel said she's endangering the life of her daughter. They should do a mental health evaluation. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't try get a hold on her for a mental health eval, but so far I haven't heard if they've tried or not. She put a wig on. It's interesting. Yeah. Lindy said it's easy to flatten short hair out under a wig. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you can do that with that amount of hair, but I believe you. Kathy said some women have to wear wigs because of thinning hair. She definitely looks like she may have some thinning hair on the back of her head, which is it's a problem that a lot of women and men suffer with. So we're not making fun of her for it. I don't think that's the right thing to do. We're just commenting on the difference in appearance, not trying to shame her for what she has. I don't think that's fair. SPY said the wig is the wig is a distraction. Where is the child? Look, I thought we were going to get. I thought her being in custody meant we would probably see the child, Melody, soon, like sometime this week. Seems like maybe not. It seems like it's going to drag out even more. And I was hoping that we were going to get an ending to this particular case soon, but I don't know now. I have a bad feeling it's going to drag on for a while. I really hope not. I really hope that this is done and we find Melody. If I wake up tomorrow and that is the headline, that'd be great. Let's see. All right. Let's see what else we can find about this court appearance. What else do we find out? Oh, I think that's the same one. No, we want a different one. Hold on. What does our friends at Court TV have to say? Do they have anything interesting? No, they do not. Surprising. I thought they would. Give me one sec. Let me see if we can get. Okay. So, what are they saying here? So, originally she was booked into Northern Branch Jail. Sheriff's officials added that the incident, the one that she was arrested for, was unrelated to the ongoing search for Melody. Her bail was set at 100,000. She got released from custody on the condition that she wear a GPS ankle monitor, citing a lack of a criminal record. I find that interesting, but I guess each case has to be looked at on its own merits within the court. I mean, to do anything different would be it'd be almost a crime, really. They're saying here, oh, we know this story. That's fine. Oh, interesting. They're saying here that Adrian Galvin, an attorney with the County Office of Public Defender, who represented Buzzard in court, declined to provide details about his client's interaction with Brewer, but added he is looking forward to testing the veracity of his claims. He says, "We are eager to test Tyler's credibility under the crucible of cross-examination." Okay. Um, Yeah, so they're saying McGregor ordered Buzzard to appear in Lompoc Superior Court on November 19, according to Galvin, adding that his client's preliminary examination is set for the following day and that the hearing will determine whether the false imprisonment charges stick or not. Galvin made it clear that Buzzard has not been charged with any crime in connection to her missing daughter and that his client is innocent until proven guilty. Well, I guess so. And they're saying here, what else are they saying? So Lily, the grandmother of Melody, told the Times on Wednesday that she was present in court for the arraignment. Describing Ashley's appearance, she said, "She appeared to me like she's sick. She looks terrible. She looks really, really bad." There you go. Really, really bad. She also goes on to say, I wish to God I knew where my granddaughter is. In my heart, she's okay. My granddaughter is alive. I feel in my heart that she is." We all hope so too. We all hope that Melody is okay. Yeah, she is not cooperating at all. Yeah, me too. I hope they're just hiding her. I don't know. It'd be interesting to know whether that is something they would look at after this giant freaking wild goose chase that we've all been on trying to find Melody, whether they would try and revoke any parental rights Ashley may have, saying that she's unfit to care for that child. And I think there are some examples. Not sending her to school, not giving her an education. There's claims that there was what's the correct word? Melody was somewhat malnourished, not being fed correctly. Some of her health was not being looked after correctly. Things like that, which these are all things that a child needs and can be reasons why children are taken out of the care of someone when you're not providing that medical care, when you're not feeding them properly, when you're not giving them the things that they need, like education. So we'll see. Yeah, I definitely think, in my opinion, I've gone back and forward on it a couple of times, but I'm pretty sure that Melody is alive. I I I think there's been very little messaging. You know, normally when they think someone is not alive, they're all like, "We have fears for her safety, and we think that there's, grave fears for Melody or something," but we haven't really heard that. We've not really heard that type of language. So the language that we've heard is sort of like, "It's a missing person case. We're just trying to find the Melody. We think we know roughly where she was last seen." So Rachel said, "I did hear a retired FBI agent today said that maybe her defense attorney will encourage her to speak up. Hopefully. Hopefully." Betsy said, "But hiding her isn't a responsible act." That's true, it's not. Marilander said, "Previous CPS visits to the home." I don't know. I would suggest there could have been. I would suggest that there could have been. I don't know that for sure, but some of the information I know and have heard about Melody's life with Ashley, I would not be surprised if there had been. All right. Let's see what else I have on my list of stories to catch you up with today in the world of true crime. Oh yeah, this one. Yep. Got a very interesting case that I was reading about last night. Very strange case, and I'll go into some of the details with you. If I can just No, that's not the right one. There is there's this woman who went missing in 2018, right? Well, they found her, and this is in Denver, Colorado. And I'll take you back to when it originally happened, and I'll tell you what happened when they found her. Just hold on. So this was back in 2018, and I'll show you what happened today.
The Christopher Watts story broke. This Weld County grandmother, Terry Ackerman, went missing. 3 months later, her family's still wondering what happened.
She wasn't here for Thanksgiving, for my daughter's or my son's birthday, my brother's birthday.
Amber Carolus
It's tearing everybody apart.
is worried.
I just really, really want someone to come forward and just let us know something, anything.
It's been more than 3 months since her mother, Terry Ackerman, went missing.
People do go missing, but for almost 4 months now and no one's made contact and she hasn't taken any of her money or nothing, something isn't right.
The family put up flyers and helped police search the area around her home in Loch Bowie, where she was last seen.
It's very frustrating because I mean, we've tried everything.
But now Carolus is worried another missing person case overshadowed her mother's disappearance.
That had a lot of, media focus on the Shannon Watts case, and it just, I think, kind of bypassed what was going on with my mom.
So that's back when it happened. Let me tell you what actually happened to this woman, Terry Ann Ackerman. She was 56 when she vanished in August of 2018. She lived with her husband, Dale. Get this. So Dale has since passed away. He died a couple of years ago. Terry's stepson, Sean, while sorting through items in a detached garage at the home, they found a bone on September 10 of this year. And it is now been proven that it is Terry. She was found in her own garage, which is crazy. This woman was on the news and they were trying to find her. Somehow they missed her being in her own garage. And they found a bone in the garage, and then they realized that it was Terry. It's very strange. So Sean said he made the discovery after his father died and he inherited the property. He had been sorting through junk for mementos before placing the residence up for sale. So far, a cause of death has not been revealed, but they're saying here after Terry disappeared, police carried out extensive searches in and around Ackerman's home, but were unable to locate her despite using drones and search dogs. So interested in how she ended up in the garage then, and then no one found her through all these extensive searches for her. So I don't understand how that works. You would think that would be one of the first places they would try and find her, but apparently not. Apparently that wasn't how this went down. So they're saying grandmother left home without phone and wallet. 7 years later, her remains are found. There's a photo of her, very pretty lady, Terry. And they're saying here that the remains of Terry were discovered September 10 in the garage of her home. They're saying here, so back when it happened, she was last seen at the address, which is 130 Poplar Street. They're saying her husband recalled to authorities that his wife was still in bed when he left their home that morning. When he returned in the early afternoon, Terry was not present, but personal items such as her wallet, cell phone, car, and car keys and home keys were still at the home. Police noted that Terry had bipolar disorder and depression, but her daughter says that she was medicated and stable. There was no sort of, the daughter doesn't believe that it had anything to do with her going missing. And they're saying here that the police department's investigation of this case is still ongoing, and that in a GoFundMe created on behalf of Terry's family to pay for funeral expenses, they're saying they talk about Terry like this: she was always there for those she loved, filling every room with warmth and conversation. Terry Ann's dedication to her family was unmatched, and her absence has been deeply felt by everyone who knew her. Many people have come together and helped look for her, and she has a community of people who love and have loved her dearly. After 7 years, this journey for looking for Terry is finally over, as we can finally receive closure and the justice she deserved. So there you go, found in her own backyard, which is it's something you hear about in fantasy novels or the corners of true crime. Yeah, I'm trying to find out more about what they found on that day. Yeah. Let's see if we can find out a little bit more about what the son found. Yeah. They say the body of a Weld County woman who disappeared from her home 7 years ago was found in September inside a detached garage feet from her house by a man who was sorting through junk on the property before it was sold, who ended up being her son. They're saying the man was at first unsure whether the bone he found was part of a Halloween decoration. Fake skeletons were set up around the property at the time and consulted with a neighbor. The two men then realized the remains were real and called 911. And they're saying here, Sean Ackerman, the stepson of Terry Ann, the woman who disappeared in 2018, said he got a phone call and they said, "Are you sitting down?" Well, yeah, you would want to be. They're saying that police searched around the home at the time of her disappearance with drones and dogs and followed up on leads and reviewed surveillance footage, but never found Terry. Over the years, her family criticized the police department's efforts as inadequate and pointed the finger at her husband, blaming him for some role in his wife's death, though he was never charged and has since died. Sean doesn't believe his father had anything to do with Terry's death and said he too is frustrated with the police department. He says the biggest thing that doesn't make sense to anyone is how cadaver dogs were out there 3 times and missed a body that was on the other side of a very thin piece of metal. They're saying Sean inherited the property after his 70-year-old father died in February of this year. The trailer was in poor condition, filled with mold and asbestos, and wasn't worth remediating. Sean instead listed the property for sale for $150,000 in August. As he went through the trailer to clean it out and save things before the sale of the property, they're saying here, um, the men decided to open up the garage. The structure inside the garage was packed from floor to ceiling with boxes and junk and smelled strongly of cat urine. They're saying the doors were sunk into the crusted dirt that had to be dug out and scraped away before the doors would open. The junk collector got into the garage and began pulling out boxes, blankets, and bags of clothes, spreading the stuff out on the lawn. Then they found a bone. They say Terry was 3 feet inside of the garage. So 3 feet deep in is where they found the remains. They say, adding that there were a couple of boxes that appeared that they might have fallen on top of the remains. If you take one step in from that door and look to the right, you go 3 feet in. That is where she was in the garage. So some people have speculated because the boxes fell, maybe she was trying to get something and they fell on top of her and she died. I mean, it has happened to people. So trying to make a killing on the garbage, maybe. Hey, Mountain Bee, how are you? Per Zillow photos, the property is very small. They say it's primarily a town with mobile homes on lots. Shall we have a look at it? I think we had the address I read out. Let's see if I can find the address again. I know it was like 130 something. Where is it? It's in the 100 block. I think it was 130, right? 100 block of Poplar Street. Yeah, 130. All right, let's have a look. All right. So it's this property here. Wow, the photos are terrible. So I'm guessing this is the main property here, and this must be the garage that they're talking about out the back. So it's strange that they never checked this garage in the back corner of the property, and that she must have come out of the main house and gone up here to do something, and then had boxes fall on her, maybe, and then died. You know, my mind went there when I heard that they found the body in there. I was like, what if the husband killed her and moved her body for a period of time until the search was over? And then when the search was over, brought her back, put her in the garage, and basically hid her in there. And then he eventually died too. And I was like, maybe that's what happened. I mean, we've heard of plenty of killers who have hid bodies. I mean, it'd be a pretty it's very interesting that the cadaver dogs didn't pick up anything and they searched all through this property. So I'm a bit yeah, I thought that too when they said the body was just pushed in there 3 feet from the door. Maybe the husband killed her and put her in the garage for a number of years. Yeah, that's true. Kim says the garage door would have been open if stuff fell on her. That's a good point. Unless she closed it behind her for some reason. Sean said they would never find me in my garage. That's very interesting. Probably too many mugs. Too many mugs, Sean. Is that what it is? How many of these mugs did you buy? How many mugs did you buy? Did you buy 2,000 of them? Are they all in your garage right now? all of the knights with pink mugs, are they all in your garage? Is that where you're hiding them all? Is this just one of many? Did you have to buy a minimum order requirement of 5,000? Sean says 2-car garage, no cars in it. Let's see. Khalees said there have been other times of cadaver dogs missing people walking right past numerous times. Well, that's true. They're not perfect. The dogs aren't perfect. Let's see. Where's Kim? Yeah, that is interesting. The garage door not being open, because that would be a clue that maybe she went in there, and maybe then they would have found her. So to not find her after they're saying the police searched the property several times, and that if she was only 3 feet in the doorway, sounds odd. Now, police are not perfect either, and the family has criticized them for a number of years, so maybe they just never looked in there. I Maybe they just ran the cadaver dog around the property and went, yeah, she isn't here. We looked at we went through the cadaver dog and all that. She's not there. Guys, I'll be back in a minute. Hold on. All right, we're back. Hey, Justice Jane, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. All right, let's have another look. Terry Ann Ackerman. And they're saying here, I'm surprised it doesn't have a bigger story about it, but it seems to be very localized. Very localized. What else do they say here? So so they invited a junk collector to come in and take whatever they wanted from the garage. They're saying the junk collector got into the garage, began pulling boxes, blankets, and bags of clothes, spreading the stuff out on the lawn. Then he found a bone. And again, what we heard, she was 3 feet in, adding that there were a couple of boxes that appeared that they might have fallen on top of the remains. If you take one step in from that door and then look to the right and you go 3 feet, that is where she was. Okay. We don't have a very good view on the map, unfortunately. So if you I'm guessing the door, can we see it from the front? No, I don't think we can see it, unfortunately. I was hoping to see maybe where the door was. I don't think we're going to get that much luck. Yeah, we can't really see. There's a giant tree blocking our way. But that's the home that they shared. And the garage is over in that back corner. And unfortunately, we can't see it. I was hoping to see how how far 3 feet in on what side of that door. And they're saying here, Sean, who moved to Colorado 2 years ago, wondered whether the police ever searched the garage and whether they missed Terry's body or whether the remains were moved into the garage later on. He says he doesn't really know. Moving the remains into the garage later on almost seems like the more plausible theory than her going into the garage and then dying. Because it's almost like if you can't find your wife and you searched all of your home, where would be the next place that you would look on your property? It has to be that garage, right? That'd be the next logical place that you would look in. Oh, maybe she went into the garage. Maybe she wanted to get something, out of storage. You wouldn't be like, maybe she's down at the park down the road. No, you'd be like, let's go and check the garage of the property. So I think the son has the right idea that they need to ask the police department, did they ever search that garage? And if they did search the garage and they didn't find her, then you have a different problem, that it's somewhat likely that maybe the husband did it and then moved her body while the search for her was underway. And when it was over, he moved her into the garage, which is a very sad ending. Mountain said the property recently sold, so there are photos from the real estate listing online. Okay, thank you. That would do it. Let's have a look. 130. I can find a Zillow. Is Zillow your American? Oh yeah, here we go. We do have photos from the garage. Is that the garage? There we go. Open this image. There we go. So that is the garage right there. I'm guessing that's the one they're talking about. There seems to be another structure down the back there too. So he said if you go in, what did he say? Go in and then 3 feet to the right. There's nowhere really to go 3 feet in that shape. Let me see if we have another photo. Yep, we do. Maybe he means this particular door. There's another door to that garage right here. Okay. So if you went in and then 3 feet to the right, that makes more sense to it here. So, and you can see they've been pulling stuff out of that door. Okay. So she was found down this section of it. There you go. Yeah, been missing a long time, 7 years. Yeah, it definitely looks like that is the shed for it. Let me see. I just want to go back to that other article. She's 3 feet in. If you take one step in from that door, look to the right, and you go 3 feet. That's where she was. Okay. So near that window, just below that window. So if you go in, take one step inside the door, turn right, and go 3 feet. Yeah. Just near this window or whatever that is on the structure there. I don't know if it was filled floor to ceiling. I struggle to see how a elderly woman would be rummaging around in there on her own, moving boxes and trying to get 3 feet in the door if it's packed floor to ceiling. I find that very odd. Just trying to see if we have another photo here. I think they're the two that I showed you of the shed or garage, whatever you want to call it. But they've definitely been removing things from it. They even got like an old stroller here, an old stroller and an old Fisher and Paykel basketball ring for children. So what an awful place for that lady to be found. Basically a junk pile. I'm glad they found her though. I'm glad they've given her back so she can be buried properly, but it's a little sad. Pretty awful that that is where she was found. Yeah, so there you go. Strange story. Strange story. Let's go here. So they did open a GoFundMe for the family to help bury Terry. They buried her down here. Well, they didn't bury her. They've opened this GoFundMe. They say her remains were found on September 10. This GoFundMe is created to help the family to fund her funeral costs during this difficult time. Terry was a loving, caring, and social person who meant the world to her family and friends. She was always there for those she loved, filling every room with warmth and conversation. Terry Ann's dedication to her family was unmatched, and her absence has been deeply felt by everyone who knew her. They said after 7 years, this journey of looking for Terry is finally over. They say as we can finally receive closure and the justice she deserved, it has also brought new challenges for our family. We want to honor her memory in a way that reflects the love and kindness she shared with so many. They say any support will help us give Terry Ann the funeral or farewell she deserves. So, a lot of people helping out the family. Try to get this woman a funeral that is respectful and that she deserves. So, glad that mystery is now over. People don't have to wonder anymore about what happened to this woman in Colorado. And it's one of those strange stories, I guess, that we probably will not get an explanation to, unfortunately. We probably will not. All right. Let me go to my next story. And if we can go to Tennessee, we have a lot of Tennessee people in the chat. And if I can, yep. If I can get the article loaded up, we'll change to this story. Yeah. They're saying Saudi Day. Hope I'm saying that right. Saudi Daisy woman dies after a man admits to setting her on fire inside of a camper. They're saying a woman has died who investigators say was intentionally set on fire by a man while she was inside of a camper on Tuesday. Her name is Angela, and she passed away from her injuries after being flown to a Nashville hospital with third-degree burns. This all stems from an incident Tuesday afternoon in the 1800 block of Elridge Road in Saudi Daisy, where investigators say 39-year-old Christopher Allen Medulla doused Angela in gasoline and used a cigarette lighter to set her on fire inside of a camper. Why would you do that to someone? Hold on.
We begin tonight with the story of a woman who was burned alive by a man who claims he's Jesus.
Local 3's Grace Kramer went to the scene today of the crime and spoke with the man who saw it unfold. He tells only Local 3 News that he held the suspect at gunpoint until help arrived. We want to warn you, some of the details may be a bit disturbing. Grace?
This once quiet camping community in Saudi Daisy is now at the middle of an investigation after a woman was intentionally set on fire. Hamilton County Sheriff's deputies say that the man they have behind bars believed he was Jesus and that the woman was a devil.
Somebody needs help, you help them. When there's a situation, you remediate the situation. Whenever I saw what he did to her, I knew he was capable of doing more to someone else. He just had to be stopped.
Steve Ellis tells me he was home Thursday afternoon when he heard screams coming from a neighbor's trailer. He went to see what was wrong and says he quickly realized that what was unfolding in front of his eyes was pure evil.
I couldn't really tell exactly like what was going on at the time. And I heard him say that he had to do it. And he kept repeating it. I had to do it. I had to do it.
An arrest report shows that Christopher Medulla set Angela Palacio, Ellis's neighbor, on fire. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says that Medulla poured gasoline on her and inside of her camper, started a fire, and then held the door closed, trapping Palacio inside. Ellis says Medulla tried to run away when he realized he was not alone.
Him to the ground, and we fought a little, and then I just held him, kept him to the ground at gunpoint. And some of the neighbors that came out and I yelled at them was.
Why is it always the ones who think they are Jesus? Why do they always think they're... It's always like, how many of them are there? I think we were told in that book that there was only supposed to be one, and that he would come back to save humanity at some point. I don't think it's a guy going around lighting campers on fire. I don't think that's got anything to do with Jesus coming back. I don't think that's him. He doesn't look like Jesus, and I don't think Jesus would set people on fire. I don't think that's how that works. What a strange story. This poor lady, Angela, I don't know. I mean, why? Yeah, the woman is saying, here, I'll show you some more. They got some photos of him here. Let's go here. The woman says he poured gasoline on me, and she suffered burns to 70% of her body, but managed to identify her attacker to first responders before a helicopter rushed her to hospital, where she later died of her injuries. Oh, poor lady. They're saying a 39-year-old man is in custody charged with attempted murder. A witness who held him at gunpoint until deputies arrived said the man told him things like, I had to do it, she's the devil, and I'm Jesus. I don't think you are, buddy. I don't think you are. Jeez, what the hell? That poor woman. Very brave woman to still be able to help identify her attacker. They're saying here an affidavit says neighbors called 911 about a woman badly burned and a camper on fire. When first responders arrived, they found the woman in urgent need of care lying in a driveway, her clothes burned away, her body covered in burns. The neighbor had placed a blanket over her as she struggled to breathe. Oh, man. Deputies say the woman was still conscious and gasping for air when she told them, Chris did it. He poured gas on me. He's lost it. Affidavit identifies Chris as 39-year-old Christopher Allen Medulla. And they're saying Hamilton County EMS first responders treated the woman until a helicopter landed and rushed her to TriStar Skyline Medical Center in Nashville, where she later died of her injuries. What the hell? That poor lady, man. Here's a photo of Jesus for you. Let's watch the video. Oh.
New charges pending tonight for the man accused of setting a woman on fire in Saudi Daisy. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office confirms that woman is now dead. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Chapman-Whitfield.
And I'm Joshua. I want to warn you here, some people may find the contents of this story disturbing. Sheriff's Office says Christopher Medulla is in custody at the county jail. Authorities say the victim suffered from third-degree burns on over 70% of her body. They also say she was able to identify her attacker before a helicopter flew her to the hospital.
Witnesses say Medulla ranted as the woman laid in a driveway covered in burns. They say he tried to run away before another witness held him at gunpoint until deputies arrived. News Channel 9's Ray Criado joins us now to tell us the latest from authorities. Ray.
Yeah, residents tell me this ordeal has shaken the normally quiet neighborhood to its core. Now, one neighbor told me she called 911 as her fellow residents kept the suspect from running and tending to Angela Policio by covering her burned body with a blanket. Now, crews flew the victim by helicopter to TriStar Skyline Medical Center. That arrest report also says before Policio passed out, she named Christopher Modelo as her attacker, telling police, quote, "He poured gas on me." A witness held Modelo at gunpoint until deputies arrived. He told police that man said, quote, "I had to do it. She's the devil, and I'm Jesus." In this broadcastify audio, you can hear the moments deputies received that call.
Suspect has the firearm range.
For the caller, the way the card's reading from the call taker, male party has the suspect detained with a firearm.
Now, for now, Modelo is charged with attempted murder. However, HCSO says more charges are pending.
Horrible. A horrible way for that woman to have gone, to be set on fire. I think it's a fear of a lot of owls to die by fire, and it must have been so excruciating and painful for that woman. Yeah, they're saying that she died a few hours ago, apparently. Yeah, she died only about 5 hours ago, 7 hours ago. Her name was Angela Michelle Palacio. Let me see if I can find a photo of her. Is this her? Trying to see if I can find her. Don't think that's her. Trying to see if I can track down a photo of the poor woman. I don't see one publicly released at this time. So she died Tuesday evening as a result of her injuries. Okay. Thursday, it's Wednesday for you guys. So about 24 hours ago, actually, she died. Here's his mugshot. Here's Jesus for you. Is this what you were expecting after reading that book? After reading the Bible? Is this what they described? I don't think so. I don't believe this is what they described in the Bible. I also don't remember the bit about setting people on fire. I remember there being a lot of fire and brimstone, but I don't remember Jesus doing it. I think that was a different book, not called the Bible. This guy just looks like vacant behind the eyes. They always look very vacant in these mugshots. He looks like he is crackers. It looks like he's a little crackers in the head. Let's see. I can't seem to find anything else on her, unfortunately. No photos, nothing been released to the public as of yet. If I can find something, I will bring it to you, but right now there is nothing. All right. We have too many links open, so give me a second. Okay. All right, that's all I have on that one. But there you go. He's in murder. He's been charged with aggravated arson, attempted first-degree murder, and aggravated assault. They're saying that he's currently in jail, so he'll be in court at some point. It doesn't tell me when. It just says he will be in jail. Yeah, he remains in the Hamilton County Jail, is scheduled to appear in court on November 17. HCSO said more charges are pending against him. The fact that she's passed away now and he only has an aggravated first-degree attempted murder, I would suggest that those charges will be upgraded to murder because of the woman's death, and some of those other charges will be upgraded too. Keanu wouldn't do that to anyone. Yeah, I don't think he would. Just Call Me Kim says, I'm sure they will update it. Sounds like they probably would. Yeah, like they said, more charges are pending. So they'll have more at some point. All right, what else do I have on my list of things to update you about? Let's have a look. Nope, not that one. All right, let's go to KTLA. They're saying here, loved ones are searching for a missing 14-year-old Southern California girl. Her name is Jade Duran. She's 14, and she was reported missing on Halloween, October 31st, according to the LAPD. They're saying she was last seen walking in the 8500 block of Silmar Avenue in Panorama City around 3 p.m. She's described as a Hispanic girl who stands 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighs around 140 pounds. She has brown eyes, brown hair, was last seen wearing a black jacket, black pants, and carrying a pink backpack. Here, I'm going to put this photo up of her. There's a photo of Jade. They're saying that Jade mainly lives in Orange County, and at the time, authorities said she may have been visiting cities in Orange County and other counties in southern LA. Her family did not mention any health or mental conditions that would have contributed to her disappearance. They have not heard or seen from her and are very concerned for her well being. So they're saying they are looking for her. She's been missing a while, almost a couple of weeks now. I'm trying to see if we can find anything else about her. I think that's all the information I have. So she was seen Silmar Avenue in Panorama City. Said that she normally lives in Orange County, but could be visiting nearby cities. Who would she be visiting the cities with and why? That's what I would like to know. So that is it. If you live in California, we have a lot of people in Cali who watch the show. If you see her, call it in. Call it in. I'll give you a number. Give me a sec, and I'll give you a number for her. So Jade Duran, NCIC number M148671463. That is her missing National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I think. Jade Duran. Here is her thing on the website for her. So apparently, she may be carrying a pink backpack with the word juicy on it. And there's another photo of her here. Let me see if I can get that. There's a different photo of her for you. So if you're in LA, if you're near Orange County, and you see this girl walking around, call it into the LAPD. Yeah, she's only 14 years old. Only 14, pretty young. Let me see. I was trying to see if we had an update, but no update so far, just that she is missing. So there has been no update, but you can call the LA Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or online at lacrimestoppers.org. And if you call those numbers or go to that website, you can leave information anonymously. So if you know where she is, call it in. She's just a kid, Just a kid, 14 years old. Pretty young, right? Very, very young. Let's see. All right, let's go here. So LA's had a bit of a day, apparently. A bit of a day. Man charged with essaying a girl at Hollywood restaurant. Here he is here. This guy's name is David Lopez, 38, allegedly approached the victim inside the restaurant and took her to a closed area out of public view and physically and sexually assaulted her. He has since been charged with one felony count of forcible lewd act upon a child under 14. He's also faces allegations of aggravated kidnapping and inflicting bodily harm on a child under 14, according to the LA DA's office. He's pleaded not guilty and is being held on no bail. They say if convicted as charged, he'll face a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. And the DA's office said the allegations in this particular case are horrifying. An innocent child and her family has suffered an unthinkable trauma that will leave lasting scars. The DA's office will use every legal tool available to seek justice for this young victim and to ensure that the individual responsible is held accountable under the law. So, these are the type of monsters that we warn people about. Got a girl at a restaurant, cornered her, took her to a closed section of the restaurant, and physically and sexually hurt her. So this guy deserves to be in prison. Hopefully he won't get out. They say those charges carry with it possibly, life in jail. So we'll have to see what happens with him. But glad they got him. Glad they got him. It was a pretty quick turnaround. That happened on November 5th. So only about a week or so ago. So well done to the LAPD. That is pretty good. Was able to find him, charge him, and get him behind bars. So there we go. Pretty good. Not bad. All right. Let's see what else I have. Hold on. Interesting. We don't hear a lot of these type of stories. So let me play you this video. Here.
Between inmates at California State Prison in Folsom leads to the death of an inmate as prison guards are forced to fire warning shots to break this thing up. It happened yesterday inside the exercise yard. Prison officials say Tyler Yates, already serving time for murder, and another inmate attacked Jonathan Rood yesterday afternoon. Rood, who was serving a 4-year sentence for vehicle theft, died at the prison from his injuries. Officers did find 2 makeshift weapons at the scene.
So, a murder within a prison. So, apparently it was about a fight. So these guys got into a fight, and I'll take you there. I'll bring you up a photo of the 3 people involved, if I can. Give me 1 second. That's not it. That's not the right story. Sorry, guys. That's not the right story. That's an old one where people died in a prison. That's okay. I'll take you to the other story. Hey, is my stupid face on the screen? There we go. Here. California inmate attacked and killed by 2 other prisoners, according to the CDCR. Alex Mercado, Eric Gonzalez, and Javier Torres are all involved here. They say a death at the Calipatria State Prison on November 10th is being investigated as a homicide after an incarcerated person was attacked in an exercise yard. Prison staff responded to Eric Gonzalez and Javier Torres attacking Alex Mercado. Officers recovered one improvised weapon at the scene. A shiv is what they call it. Two alleged assailants have been placed in restricted housing pending a joint investigation by the prison and the Imperial County District Attorney's Office. And they're saying it's a homicide investigation. The inmate was attacked and killed by those two other inmates. According to officials, Alex Mercado was attacked and killed by Eric and Javier. They're saying staff had to use chemical agents to stop the attack, but by then it was too late. So Alex Mercado is the guy on the end here, and there you go. He was killed. Eric and Javier are the ones who decided to keep their crimes going while in prison. So look at the tattoos. MS-13 maybe? I don't know. It could be something like that, MS-13. Yeah, what does it say? Apparently, Mercado was taken to a local hospital where he later died. Like I said, officers recovered one improvised weapon at the scene. They're saying officials did not disclose what the improvised weapon was exactly. They're saying Mercado's official cause of death is under investigation by the county coroner. All three inmates were serving sentences for serious offenses. There you go. Mercado was received on September 9, 2022 from LA County. He was serving a 13-year sentence for second-degree murder and assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Gonzalez was received May 4, 2023 from LA County. He is serving a life sentence with a possibility of parole for a first-degree murder with an enhancement for the use of a firearm. Javier, was returned from parole on May 10, 2024 from Kern County. He is serving a 6-year sentence for carjacking as a second striker. They're saying Gonzalez and Torres have been placed in restrictive housing after the incident. So that's what I was trying to explain to you. You know, we don't hear about these prison murders that often, but even in prison, these type of crimes happen. So, yeah, I don't think they're getting parole anytime soon after killing a guy. Really bad dudes? Yeah, seems like they are very bad dudes. At least two of them were in there for murder. One of them was in there for parole violation. So there you go. Even in prison, you can be hunted down apparently and killed. Pretty brutal. All right. Let me see if I have anything else on my list of stories for you tonight. We have a story out of Arizona, and it is eerily similar to Emily Pike. Very sad to hear this, that uh, another Native American woman has been found dead. They're saying here, authorities are investigating the death of a missing White Mountain Apache teenager, and they're saying they are investigating it as a homicide after her remains were discovered in eastern Arizona. Not again. Not again. Really? We just got through, or not even through, we don't know who did it, but we just got Emily Pike and her case. Now we have another one. 16-year-old girl was reported missing in October, and now apparently they have found her remains. Her name is Chalistia Cole, and her remains were found on November 3rd. I may have butchered her name. I'm sorry about that.
Detectives haven't specified what has led them to believe that the girl was murdered or what led them to where her remains were. But DPS tells me tonight that a turquoise alert was never issued because the investigating agency never made a request. Family of 16-year-old Callistia Cole are now planning a funeral instead of her future after police found her remains in the community of Knott's Landing in White River. That's just 3 hours northeast of Phoenix. Who killed her and why? The other question is why few people knew she was missing.
It breaks my heart because this goes on far too often. And I think when police departments have very good training and have strict policies on what to do when they have a child who is a runaway, I think that helps prevent children like Tia who go missing and end up getting murdered.
Darlene Gomez is an attorney for missing and murdered Indigenous women and relatives. In this case, White Mountain Apache Tribal Police were the lead agency in this investigation.
When tribal police get involved, oftentimes they're undermanned. They oftentimes do not have the staff to follow up on investigations immediately.
DPS officials say they were never given a heads up about this case, which is why there was no turquoise alert issued or any other current documentation showing Cole was missing. They did say Cole had 2 prior missing person cases filed in October of 2024. However, both of those cases were closed.
In Tia's case, somebody labeled her as a runaway. And oftentimes we get the misconceptions of children being runaways that they're not vulnerable. So we don't.
So very sad to hear that, and that they did not use the new alert after Emily Pike. They made this turquoise alert, also called Emily's Law, and it was supposed to help and hopefully prevent another Emily Pike happening, and it didn't. Now they apparently never issued one in this particular case, and they're saying she was reported missing October 27th. Why was a turquoise alert not put out? I mean, that's what it's used for, this particular type of situation. They're saying the Department of Public Safety officials say a turquoise alert didn't go out because they never got a request from the investigating agency. So it's like, come on. Really? Is there no initiative with anyone? Like anyone. It just feels like they're like, oh, we didn't get a piece of paper, so we can't do anything. It's like, oh, we can see that it's a teenage, you know, a girl who maybe fit the criteria of a turquoise alert, but oh, because we didn't get a request, oh, we can't issue that alert. Like bureaucracy. That's what it is. It's bureaucracy. It's ridiculous. Like made that alert to try and help another child who was like Emily Pike, and they failed. You can't take this any other way except for failure. That's it. You can't. It's you failed this girl after failing Emily Pike. You've now failed this girl too after trying to do something good by using Emily's death as to save other children with the Emily's Law. But you didn't. So where are you going to go with this now? There's probably going to be some dumb apology. They're going to get up in court and apologize again. Did you guys see that video where they all got up in court and apologized for Emily's death? It obviously meant nothing because now we're back right there again with another teenager dead. They're saying without a formal request from the investigating agency, DPS has no lawful or operational basis to activate or assess individual cases. Well, that needs to change. It just needs to be, does this person meet the mother effing criteria? If they do, send out the fucking alert. Like, it's ridiculous. But they're like, like, oh, we didn't have the paper, is this, and it didn't feel, stop. Just issue the alert if they fit the freaking, like, whatever 4 points of criteria. Just issue it. When a child is missing, when a teenager is missing, time is of the essence. Like, what are you going to do if you have to keep going? Oh, we have to go back, and we'll send it to Phoenix PD, and we'll send it over here to. You have to streamline this process. This should be a freaking giant wake up call. Ridiculous. Really is. Drowning in freaking idiocy. It really is. Oh, it's so annoying. Just, the stupid, like, statements too. To clarify, the Arizona Department of Public Safety does not independently initiate or investigate missing person cases. The F are you doing then? Once an investigative agency determines that a case meets statutory criteria, it is the responsibility of the agency to contact DPS to request an alert activation. Why is there so many steps involved? Why can't someone just see that a kid is missing, fits the criteria, and just presses a button and just goes, yep, that'll do, and just presses like a big red button? We can do that. We can dumb things down for people if you want. We can install a giant turquoise button in the middle of whatever office we have to. And someone can just look at the paper and go, yes, she meets the criteria. Press the giant button. Like, is that how simplistic we have to make it to make it happen? Like, it just, it's like we're drowning in red tape and paperwork, and it's like good things that are supposed to help people don't because of this kind of crap. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Ugh, jeez. Sorry I get so mad, but it's like, do these kids who we already know when they are from when they are native people, they're already vulnerable people, and we already know that a lot of the abuse or the deaths or the murders or things like that that happen to young people often are a higher percentage for these people who are Native American, right? And it just seems like no one's really that concerned. It's just like, oh, another one died. Sure, who cares? Oh, there'll be another teenager somewhere. We'll do better next time. Why can't we do better this time? There could have been something like, there's no saying it would have changed her outcome, but we could have tried. That's the thing. We could have done better, and that's the sad thing, is that we'll never know because now she's dead. And we can't bring it back. This is not magic. It's not like we can have a spell. It's not Harry Potter. Um, just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Ugh. It's sad. It really is. It's really sad. Um, let's see what else we can find about her. I'm still mad that we don't have any updates for Emily Pike either. Girl found dead, butchered on the side of a road in Globe, Arizona, dumped on the side of a road in a pretty vast rural area in Arizona. They don't know. They're just like, oh, dead girl in pieces just on the side of a road. Sure. Happens every day. And we still don't know what happened to her. We just know that she died. And we know that someone decided to completely brutalize her remains and then dump them like they're rubbish on the side of the road. This girl seems like there's a photo of her, by the way. I'm trying to find out what her condition was when they found her. It doesn't say. It says she was last seen October 16, 2025, when she told her family she was going to a friend's home. Her remains were discovered less than a mile from her home in Knott's Landing community in White River on November 3. Family members identified her through personal items, including her shoes, jewelry, phone, and other items. The BIA's Missing and Murdered Unit is actively involved in the investigation. Authorities have not specified how she was killed or why they believe it was a murder. A search operation was conducted in the area following the discovery of her remains. If this girl was found dismembered, I think we got a big problem on our hands. I think it's possible. Could there be a link? Now, look, I want to preface this by saying it's probably really unlikely, like 1%, 1%, 1%, that it's connected to Emily Pike. But if this girl was found dismembered, the law enforcement agencies should be absolutely shitting bricks, because that means they might have someone out there who's doing this to native girls, and they should be very worried. Thavi said, or is it the investigating PD covering something up? They failed big time. Yeah, they definitely did. Hey, how are you? Showbiz shame, yes. But awful. What a shame. Hopefully we find out more in the coming days, but that is the information coming out right now, that she was found, they're investigating, no turquoise alert was put out for her, and it has not been specified how she was killed or why they know it was a murder. They're saying here her family remembers her as an outgoing, funny, and goofy teenager. They are seeking justice and closure, and they have created an online fundraiser to help with funeral expenses. Anyone who knows anything regarding her death needs to call the BIA MMU hotline 1833 560 2065. They also have a way of texting. You can text the keyword BIAMMU and your tip to 847 411. They also have an email, which I'll put in the chat. If you're in Arizona and you know anything about this girl, even the smallest bit of information, the tiniest bit, if you know anything, get in touch with the BIA and tell them what you know. Marilyn says a serial killer. Uh, Something tells me, on the grand scheme of things, it's probably not a serial killer. The rational part of my brain tells me that it is unlikely. The true crime part of my brain says it's a serial killer. No. It would just be unlikely. The chances of her being related to Emily Pike would be very, very remote. But if it is, for any reason, got a big problem. Got a very big problem, and everyone should be very worried that there's seems to be a person out there stalking these type of girls and taking them and killing them. We'll have to find out how she was killed and how they found her remains. When we know that, we'll know a lot more about any connections or if it's even a possibility. So until we get that information, we won't know. But very angry to hear that there's another girl gone, and that the safeguards put in place that were supposed to help were not used because some piece of paper wasn't given to someone, and something very stupid happened. But all right, let me see what else I can find here about this young girl. Um, okay, that doesn't help. All right, I'm going to take you to ABC 15. If it'll play.
The Bureau of Indian Affairs is the agency who confirmed that Chalistia Kolale's death is being investigated as a homicide. Telling ABC 15 in an email, the teen was reported missing to the White Mountain Apache Police Department on October 27th. On that day, family posted a picture of the 16-year-old on social media, saying a police report had been filed. That was 1 week before police say they found human remains in the Knots Landing community in White River. On November 5th, police posting a statement saying their agency and the BIA are investigating to bring closure to Chalistia's family and justice to those responsible. But a question now being asked by advocates that the BIA did not answer why a turquoise alert was not issued.
Just knowing that we all have worked so hard to put things in place that were there to meant to protect the kids and also fill in the gaps to areas that we were missing.
That alert system put into place after the disappearance and murder of Emily Pike. The BIA told us to ask White Mountain Apache Police, but we have not received a response. As we work to get answers, an Arizona group that provides services to families of missing children is asking for authorities to avoid using the term runaways. The Arizona Missing Children's Task Force says labeling a child as just a runaway delays public alerts, limits media response, and minimizes urgency.
We want to prevent this from happening. We've had
That's a good point. We've read several cases over the last couple of years where children labeled runaways were not investigated properly and they ended up being killed, where their cases could have been solved earlier had they not been labeled as runaways and possibly could have been alive today had that label not been placed on them. I fully agree. Why can't we just call all children missing children? That is a way better description, and it doesn't pigeonhole them to one sort of designation. They're just missing because they are. That is the only description you should give to them. If you can't say for sure that a child is a runaway, because not everything is as transparent when you're first trying to label or categorize a child being not there. It's very difficult to do that unless, even if they have a history, what if this one time is different? And that has happened too, where a child had a history of being a runaway, and on this one time it was completely different, had nothing to do with them running away, and they were killed by someone. And because they were labeled a runaway, no one looked for them for years. Yeah, so no one looked for them for years. It's a good thing that we need to make outdated. It's a good thing we need to sort of get rid of labeling children as runaways. Just label them as missing. I think it's a good step we could take. Like they said in this video, they got angry too. Steps that were put in place after Emily Pike to help these First Nation, Indigenous, I don't know the name, Native American children. It didn't work. So you guys got to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to make it work, because it didn't, which means it's just a big fat F. It's big fat failure. And can't do that. Every time you fail, it means the kid has died. And whether or not their outcome would have been different doesn't matter, because, you know, you could have just done the best that you could have done, and in this time you didn't. So that's what they have to sort of deal with. All right, before I get more angry, I'm going to get out of here. Sean said, so they are still called Indians. I don't know. I think yes, because they call them like Indian casinos. They say it's a Bureau of Indian Affairs. I don't know if they're called First Nation people or Native Americans or Indians, but there's a few different names that they call them. Hey, I want to thank Sean for the donation. Thank you very much. People like Sean help this channel, allowing these shows to be open and free. So people like Sean make sure that we don't put a lot of members only type shows to generate funding for the channel. And it's the people like that that allow us to just have them open all the time. Oh, by the way, hold on. I got a reward for being a part of a YouTube boot camp thing, and I got a what do you call it? A YouTube beanie, and it's got like the play button on it, and it's got the subscribe button and things like that. I got this for being a part of the boot camp, and it came all the way from Salem, Virginia. Now it's summer down here, almost summer down here, so I don't know if I'll wear it this summer, but I will probably wear it next year. Next year, hold on. I'll probably wear it next year when we do the like our winter things. But yeah, it's pretty hot here right now. But for you Americans, it's pretty cool. So it's got like a lot of YouTube branding and things like that on it. So yeah, really cool. Full screen. I'm not gonna do full screen, but here you guys can see it. Ah, there you go. So it's got like the bells on it, like when you subscribe and things like that. What are the other ones? I think it's just got the bells when you subscribe or something. But yeah, it's a really nice beanie from YouTube. So that was actually from YouTube, the company, like the one we're actually on right now, came from them. So that was really cool. Came from Salem, Virginia. Came all the way from there. Which is I think we've done a few stories from there. I don't think I've ever been there. But yeah. So thank you to YouTube. Thank you to Sean for the donation. I appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. And we'll have some fun. We'll have some fun. What are we going to do tomorrow? I don't know. Hopefully an update. Hopefully an update on this girl. That's what I want for tomorrow's show. An update on this young girl. That's what I want to see, and hopefully we'll get it. Awful that we have to go through Emily Pike all over again. Ugh. All right. Hey, I love you all very much. I'll see you tomorrow for another show. Thanks for staying up late with me and hanging out on the Late Late Show. Good night, everyone. Bye.